a beer. Yeah, like one beer will wake me up, but then I don't even really like it. And then I can't go to sleep. People always talk about, I'm just describing what I've learned keeps me up, but I don't need coffee and I don't need a beer anymore to stay up. Now I just have a pollen burst. I'm saying it is amazing, folks. Infowarsteam.com. And if we put it up on screen, there's also a number there on the site where people can take your order there. It's 865-441-2996. Again, that's 865-441-2996. There's also a toll-free number somewhere on there, so I'll make sure that gets added back up there on the site. But we'll be back with Dr. Corey Gold to get into fluoride straight ahead. But I'm very honored because he's a giant out there in health product development that he named his latest and greatest product after the Infowars. The worst drought in 50 years continues, and the first 6 months. We're going to get into the shooter. We're going to have Fritz Springmeier here in studio with us, expert on mind control, authored a bunch of books on it. His research is groundbreaking. By the way, you can become a distributor, create your own website under InfowarsTeam.com, and we were giving out a distributor's number, which is great as well. You want to call the main number here to order any of the fine products discounted, like Pollen Burst Plus, that just officially came out this week and is now in stock, 877-551-1301. You can also inquire about signing up to be a distributor. And we're looking for team members. We're looking for managers. I mean, it's a growing operation. This great longevity system and people using the products and finding out it's not hype is really helping fund the Infowars. I know a lot of folks would rather we would just be the government and come take the money from you at gunpoint, but we'd rather just sell you a good product that everybody win-wins from. 877-551-1301 is the main number if you want to talk directly to our folks, 877-551-1301 or InfowarsTeam.com. Now, coming up, it's finally hitting mainstream news. They're praising al-Qaeda as wonderful people. This is the London Guardian today. Al-Qaeda turns tide for rebels in battle for eastern Syria, and it just talks about their discipline and what incredible men they are. I got to get my rights up because Al-Qaeda is going to attack me. And it just goes on and on. This is just amazing. Again, new bill introduced to ban online ammo sales, ban all semi-autos, ban clips of 10 or more, getting almost no attention. It finally hit Yahoo News today. I mean, incredible things are happening right now. The world is just racing towards tyranny. Dr. Corey Gold, what do you make of Obama using al-Qaeda to take over Libya and now Syria? I'm not saying Gaddafi or Assad are good guys, but compared to al-Qaeda, I mean, I'm not a supporter of al-Qaeda, and I know that means I'm not patriotic nowadays. To be patriotic is you want drones, checkpoints, no freedom, turn your guns in. I guess they're telling us, the founders, gun owners, libertarians, we are the terrorists.
Well, al-Qaeda was great when they were fighting the Russians in Afghanistan. And then al-Qaeda was bad when they were fighting us in Afghanistan. Now al-Qaeda is good again because they're helping get rid of Assad in Syria. So I guess it just depends. It's kind of like baseball players. It all depends which uniform they're wearing that day. It's the same guy, just what uniform they're wearing that day. It is crazy when you think about it that we're fighting al-Qaeda, except they're helping us fight in Syria because we don't like that guy more. You're right. Drones are flying, but people think it's good because it's protecting them. The internet's being censored, but that's good because people aren't getting their feelings hurt. The government's putting lithium or wants to put lithium in the water because you shouldn't have any opinions or be sad ever because emotions are no good for you. You start wondering, where are we heading with this? Mayor Bloomberg is telling people, yeah, abortions are great in New York, but you can't have you can't have formula for your children because the government would prefer you do this instead. We're really at a wacky place. But it is kind of crazy when you think about when is al-Qaeda our friend and when is it our enemy, and is it the same day sometimes?
And then meanwhile, they're trying to restrict vitamins and minerals, but Dr. Wallach's been leading the charge to stop that. But then they want to legalize antipsychotics and things like Oxycontin for 4-year-olds.
Oh, you just think about it. There are commercials on the air right now that says if your first antidepressant isn't working well enough, we've got a second antidepressant you can put on top of that. But be very careful of vitamins and minerals; those could be dangerous for you. If anybody listens to this commercial, pick up a tube of toothpaste, read the warning on the back about having too much toothpaste, and now drink the fluoride in the water. It tells you could die from eating a whole tube of toothpaste, but chug away in the water. Have a lot of water. You've been running around town, you're thirsty, drink a lot of water, put that fluoride in. It just begs intelligence.
Well, that was the final point I wanted to cover with you here. Harvard looked at more than a dozen major modern studies as far back as 1977 and said it accelerated tumor growth, bone cancer, and massively lowered children's IQs. But if I go down to the city council in Austin and say, stop putting it in my water, they laugh at me.
Right. They laugh at you. It's a brainwashing technique. You think about this. If you say, I want pure water, they think you're crazy. You're asking for pure water. If you try to collect your own rainwater in your house, you're violating some kind of law. You say you want clean food with no GMOs, you are crazy. You grow your own food, you are crazy. You may be a lawbreaker. You want to have a cow and drink the unpasteurized milk, you could be doing something wrong. It's an upside-down world. All these things are intuitively good.
I'll tell you what's intuitively delicious is my Pollen Burst Plus, available at InfoWarsTeam.com. We've got banners going up at InfoWars.com today if you missed that address. Dr. Corey Gold, thank you for letting me endorse your product. I've never endorsed a product before because I never found one good enough. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Alex.
Amazing. Pollen Burst Plus.
We're on the march.
All right, Fritz Springmeier is here visiting his father from, I guess, Oregon. Fritz Springmeier is an author who, when I read his book 15 years ago, Bloodlines, Illuminati, and he said that Prince Charles hung out in Transylvania, and they weren't German royalty, that the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas were from Vlad the Impaler. I couldn't find where that came from, and I thought this guy's got to be out of his mind. So I never really interviewed him until, I don't know, the last 6, 7, 8 years. I was going to interview him right before he got set up and sent to the Hooskow. They went after him. They kept raiding him, kept going after him, saying, oh, he has, anti-government literature in his house. Oh, he robbed a bank with no proof and all this stuff. They could do that to me, too. They put him in jail. And for 7 years, he just got out, as you know, about a year ago. First time he's traveled outside the state he lives in. He's got to call his probation officer up even to be here. Just spent a day with his dad. He's about to turn around and go home now. But he's here today for just about 30 minutes in studio, then an hour commercial-free, uninterrupted interview tonight, 7 o'clock Central, Infowars Nightly News, 15-day free trial, Prisonplanet.tv if you want to watch it. If not, by tomorrow, it'll be out there for everybody on YouTube. But it is you, the members, that pay it forward to everybody, so thank you. But Bloodlines, the Illuminati. Now, because, 15 years ago, I knew about the Federal Reserve and the New World Order. I didn't believe they were sacrificing people. Now they take the head of Penn State and make him a secret Homeland Security commander. And it turns out they're all a bunch of, just absolute scum. And for normal people, we know all our works are dirty rags before God. I'm aggressive, I'm everything else, but I don't want to hurt innocent people. In fact, the only lust I got is to beat the brains out of bullies. And it is a sin because I cannot help it. And people that hurt kids, I got a normal instinct that I want to really get angry. But I'm using the info war to go after our enemies so everybody knows who the enemy is. But this book, Bloodlines, the Illuminati, is off the charts wild. And now, 15 years after I first read it, it's back in print. It wasn't even in print. We got it back in print. So it's all coming from Infowars.com right now. You can find it other places, but it comes from us. This book is available at Infowars.com, Infowarsshop.com, but that's not why he's here. We only got about 25 minutes left. I want to give him the floor. We're going to do an in-depth breakdown. In fact, he's got it out in the car. There's only 5 in print left. I'm thinking about trying to get that back in print. The Illuminati formula to create a totally undetectable mind control slave. Now, I was asking, I go, you wrote 3 or 4 books on mind control, right? Because I read those years after I read this and found out he wasn't, because, this sounded like cuckoo for Cocoa Puff stuff when I was ignorant. I understand why this stuff sounds crazy, but look at all the other governments and elites and crazy stuff they did. It's actually normal for these elites in history because they just get more and more evil. They compete with each other for, who's more evil. And he's written like 4 other books, am I wrong, Fritz, on mind control? And I said, which one is it where you say they use movie trailers to program it, and then you go over it all? And you said, no, that's the formula. That's the formula book. So here you are. We've got footage of this James Holmes guy with all the Department of Defense. I said, watch, he'll have some Pentagon psychiatrists. Turned out that was the case. They roll him out. He can't even talk. He was back in court today. Didn't know who he was, couldn't talk. I mean, he might not have even been the shooter, because, you know, they've got mind control folks, as you've documented, as they've declassified now, where they do act normal. But they could be the new personality and they activate it, and then the person acts normal but doesn't remember. This guy could just be some patsy drugged up electroshock therapy. But you're the real expert on this, because you learned from the inside when you burrowed into an Illuminati coven. But break down watching this James Holmes shooting, The Dark Knight, all the news articles about violent finale on the cover of magazines. You're going to, you know, killer finale. We see trailers of gangsters shooting everyone in a movie theater right before it happens. Multiple shooters reported, stand downs, photoshops of gas mask, the gun control bill only a few weeks out when it happened. You see all that. And you see the police chief work for Bloomberg, the head of intelligence. I mean, a few miles from Littleton, Colorado. Give us your take on this, and then break down in the little bit of time we have here as kind of a hors d'oeuvre or preview of tonight. We're doing an hour in studio on the Nightly News. What you think of this case, and then from actual real program people. Because it's proof that, I mean, you totally documented how it operates. So much of it declassified now. How this really works.
Yes, it does have all the hallmarks of being a false flag, and a false flag that they created with a mind-controlled assassin. You look at his parents, that's one of the clues, and then his grandparents, but his father being part of DARPA, his father being involved with banking and creating algorithms that, and it ties into also the big banking scandal that's over in England, that they fixed the interest rates very low, which has been part of the reason why Americans have been having this financial crisis. And that scandal was going to be exposed, and his father was going to testify before Congress. So we're talking about his father and grandfather being notable people. These are the kind of families that have...
Same thing with Harris and Kleinbold. Mm-hmm. They had parents were both in DARPA. You can't make this up.
Right. And Littleton itself is a retirement place for CIA. So we're talking about an area that's full of these kind of people. And then just the way his eyes looked, and like you were saying, the first time he came in, he couldn't even speak. All of these little things are clues.
He still can't talk. They said today, now they won't show video, they're just showing sketches. He just sits there blinking. I mean, he's obviously shell-shocked.
Yes. And so they're probably doing something to try to get him in line with whatever they want him to say or do to go along with the script. But it definitely, to me, has a lot of clues that would say this guy was programmed to go in and do this. Clear back in the 1990s, I was warning people that they were going to go in and do these kind of shootings.
No, that's what clicked. Yeah. When I learned you were coming to Texas, it was so wild because, Fritz, you said, I'm going from memory here, but, I mean, you talked about movie trailers programming mass shootings. You talked about mass shootings in public. Well, I mean, it's all in your books. Which book talks about that?
It may have been
Prophecy Club speeches.
You know, I don't know specifically because I wrote so much stuff. The Be Wise as Serpents book back in 1990 said that they were going to go in and do assassinations, or mass killings. So it may have gone clear back to 1990.
Yeah, well, let's continue now with this case of the different types of mind control operatives.